thought today would be interesting for us to talk through the power of our own inner circles. And so one thing that struck to me is actually this morning I was talking to someone who's applying to join YPO, the Young Presidents Organization that I'm in. And when I asked why, the reason was I'm lonely, and I think that that's a true statement that you feel probably, I don't want to project, or that I do feel that when you are running a business as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, when you're at the top, it's kind of lonely because yes, you have friends, but oftentimes your friends can't relate to the same problems, the same situations, the same pressures, or competing demands that you're going through. So I'm in YPO, you're in Tiger 21. And I know we both believe that every entrepreneur needs to find a room where they can be completely honest, transparent, confidential, and, not be judged, and then also be understood by kind of their tribe. So walk me through your journey of how you found Tiger 21 and I guess how the experience has been for you and why you think it's so important to 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs who maybe haven't found their group or think that they don't need to find that group.
Yeah. And I'll take you back even farther. I remember there was a time because I'd go to all the financial conventions and stuff like that. And I just felt like a lot of people in finance and in financial advisory work and stuff like that, they're not entrepreneurs. Often they work for other people. Often they're just not entrepreneurs. And so I felt, and Mimi, my wife Mimi, our co-founder, felt like we want people who are business owners like us that we can hang out with. And so we started searching, and luckily one of our longtime clients is Joe Polish. He runs a great group called Genius Network. So we joined Genius Network, and all things have kind of stemmed from there. So we realized that hanging out with other entrepreneurs, first of all, a ton of great ideas that I've taken from that group that brought to the business that have made a big difference in our journey. And then that also got me involved in other groups. So, today I'm involved in a group called Wellspring, which is a lot about my faith as a business owner. That's a really amazing group. And then Tiger. So there's a lot of groups I've been with along the way, and they've all served their purpose. So it's not only business ideas and learning from others, but it's also being with your tribe. And one of the things about us as humans is we feel uncomfortable if we're not with our tribe. And my tribe is entrepreneur business owners. And so that's where I started looking for where can I find a local group that are with people who are just like me. In Tiger 21, I know several people in Tiger and started investigating that. And then you actually introduced to our chair of the group that I joined. And I have to say that the Tiger group, I was a little worried that maybe I didn't fit in, maybe I was different. And I think that's normal when you join a group. But I feel like that room, they're my people. Like we're through very similar histories. We've all built businesses, sold businesses, gone through the ups and downs of that in life. And we also have challenges that many people, some of my closest friends, don't have. They don't have the asset protection challenges that we have, don't have the insurance challenges that we have, don't have the, how to spend your free time and travel and all these things. One of my Tiger friends just sent me this resort he stayed at in Africa that's like unbelievable. And that's like a cool thing. I wouldn't share that with some of my friends who would just look at me like, yeah, great, you could go do that. I can't do that. So it's been tremendous as far as just network and friendships and connections and learning and growing. I mean, one of the things that is most important to me, and I know you share this, is just learning and growing, taking a beginner's mindset to what's going on out there so we can all learn and grow. I know I've talked a lot about that. Why don't you tell me your whole thing with YPO? Because I know you've gotten a lot out of that group. I know a lot of YPOers, and I have to say, you being in YPO is kind of me living through you a little bit, just because when I was at the age I could be in YPO, our company wasn't big enough. And then when you took the reins as the managing partner and we're really running the day-to-day and doing things like preparing for the podcast so I don't have to, it was a great opportunity, and you're just such a great fit for YPO. But tell me about your journey and how you decided that would be a good thing and how that's worked out for you.
Yeah. So with YPO, Young Presidents Organization, as you alluded to, you have to be under 45 years old. So that's one of the cutoff criteria. And you have to be running the business. So CEO, managing partner, equivalent, running the business, and there's certain size thresholds. So it's not just anybody running a business. There's certain revenue that you have to hit or valuation just to make sure the room is, you want to make sure you have the right people in the room. And so I think for me, the biggest thing was that was the first time I've been in a room with entrepreneurs or business owners or operators that feel the same pull in terms of the different challenges of life, of balancing fatherhood, balancing taking care of yourself personally, your health, balancing running a business, obviously, all the different facets that come with life. Sometimes it's not as relatable to your college buddies or other people because they have different challenges, but maybe challenges that you can't relate to as much, and you have challenges that they can't relate to. So going into forum and just being able to have open and honest conversations, and with everything is so confidential, it just is kind of like a therapy session, right? And then that naturally gets you really close to these individuals who are all high achievers doing amazing things. And it also expands your network very rapidly because you meet all these amazing people that have great connections. And then you have great events, like you always have top tier events, which also makes it more fun to show up and just build relationships. So, I can't speak highly enough. It's been an awesome experience. And I think, like you said, it just comes back to like finding your tribe and finding the people that you can kind of really spend time with and open up to and just build, genuine connections with.
Yeah. I mean, if I talk to a really good friend of mine who's making $80,000 a year doing a W-2 wage, I really can't talk about the business the way it makes sense because it just doesn't make sense to him. And certainly if I'm whining like, oh, they just increased the premium on my $10 million umbrella policy, right? He's not going to have any sympathy for me. He's not going to understand.
Yep.
So that it's really been an amazing thing for me. And I'm really excited to see how you're getting a lot out of YPO. Because so both those groups, I'd say Tiger 21 and YPO are two of the most prestigious groups. And so far, that's what I've seen. Very impressive people.
Yep. And we got a chart here, a little table that we also put together. We can throw on the screen that just breaks down some of the more popular ones, YPO and kind of who it's best for. Tiger 21, EO, that's another great one for you have to be a founder in EO. And then Vistage, which is another one that's also out there. So at the end of the day, net worth doesn't buy you a support system. You have to build that. Yep. And, I think some of the best investments we've made is joining groups such as these.
No doubt. And, YPO and Tiger 21 have a very high threshold. So there's a lot of other groups out there. As I said, Joe Polish's Genius Network is a great group. Wellspring is a great group. There's a lot of other incredible communities that you can be a part of if you're an entrepreneur. If you're not an entrepreneur, find your tribe. But if you're not an entrepreneur, I don't know why you'd be listening to this call. This would be very boring if you were not.